In a way, those of us who've been connected to the Do Impact learning journey, the nice thing about this seminar has been maybe a little bit more the focus on like the psychological aspect, the emotional aspect, and this aspect of storytelling. And I think through the links that, for example, Beth, you've shared, there's a lot more that we can delve into in terms of tools to actually use for storytelling, for example. So some of the things that stood out for me was this idea of being authentic, being human, using emotion, being personal, the way we use our platforms now as social economy organizations in transmitting what we want to say. And sometimes I think we also get into this trap a little bit of sounding perhaps too important. So I really liked this quote from Dinius around, I can't remember the quote exactly. I would have to go back to the slide, but it was the message you gave at the end of your presentation. Um, Trust online is not built by sounding important. It is built by being clear, being human, and being provable. And if we, a social economy ecosystem, can't be human, can't be kind of yeah, authentic, then who can? So that stayed with me. And as we had the breakout sessions, I was in the third one in Beth's, but I would like to start with you, Dinius. You were in the breakout session, the psychology of trust in digital relationships, and it would be really nice to hear from you. What were some of the key points in your room? And maybe if you could help us understand what tools you use to tell your digital story.
Okay, thank you, Aneta. I will try to answer quite shortly,
Mhm.
even if I don't know how to
Don't
talk.
worry.
But I think that the most important idea was about trust and how to build that trust and how not to ruin it. So I shared that, it's somehow difficult to ruin the trust. But if you ruined your trust or maybe you made a mistake, so you need to be the first to acknowledge that mistake and be transparent about what you will do next and try to work with that and show how you will correct that mistake. So that's about being human, being vulnerable, very important, being vulnerable, but not vulnerable just to show that you are vulnerable, but actually be vulnerable, not just for I will show my tears and film that tears. Nobody wants to see your tears because they will think, how you manage to think about taking your camera and film yourself crying when there is a vulnerable moment. So just for me, all the time when I see tears on the screen, there is a question, why are you doing this? So being vulnerable, just explaining your story. And I think how I do it, so I'm trying to be vulnerable and also what I mentioned before, be very clear. One message per one video and explain it in simple words, not in my psychological jargon, but just as simple words that everybody will understand. There is no need to say other, I know, international words, um, or social enterprise jargon or etc. Just you are human. Other people who are watching you or following you are also humans. So it means that you just need use your language and easy understand language. I think helps to trust, to build a trust, and also um, just not to do any illegal stuff. That will help you. That's just no, that's the I don't know, foolproof stuff. Don't do anything illegal. If you if you do everything on the legal brackets and also morally legal, it could be law lawfully legal, but maybe morally illegal. So also take sure that it's also morally legal. And that's all. That's easy, I think.
Thank you. I think you mentioned an important point. I mean, you call it legal, but actually, throughout Do Impact, we've been talking about the ethical use of data, data for good, and especially when we look at technologies that maybe we are not so familiar with. We've been trying to familiarize ourselves with them across the project, such as AI and new technologies. Then actually, how can we as organizations make sure that we're using these tools in an ethical way? And we had previous sessions held in Latvia as well around not only ethical use of AI, but also GDPR, collecting data. So, some of you were smirking at the word legal, but actually when data is in play, it's an important concept, whether that's ethical use or legal use, and following guidelines and making sure that data collected from people, no, or clients or our communities is actually collected in a way that ensures that it's stored in the correct way, that it's not misused, that maybe some community members who are more vulnerable are not in an endangered space. So I think you bring up an important point, and that's linked to trust as well. Did anything else come up from your group, from some of the other members who were in the breakout room? Are there any other ideas that you would like to share? And I just welcome everyone to speak if you would like to. Um, is there anything?
Maybe other members could share their experience, but in the breakout room they were shy, but maybe now they
Don't
can.
be shy. Um, Otherwise, we had the second room, which was led by Anya from Latvia. Data storytelling for influence. Anya, what were your key points in your breakout room? And maybe a question to you. Do you have experience with specific tools or methods that help us understand data easier? Um, yeah, anything around those points?
Yeah, hi, Annette. Thank you for the question. We were talking about that data storytelling for influence. It consists of like three parts, like combination of three parts. It's of course data, then the narrative, how you want to show this data to the wider public, and like maybe for example like in a more positive light or negative light. And then the third part of course are visuals, how you are going to present this data to the public. And Francesca from the group mentioned that, of course, it depends on the audience that you want to reach, and like what decision you want or action you want them to make or do. Of course, you are not like when you are presenting data, you are not like lying about, or like trying to hide something, but there is always a choice like what you want to highlight more. Because, of course, people, especially if you want to send like a press release to the media about some kind of data, a lot of people reading news, they are reading only title and maybe the first few sentences. So yeah, it's always like about the question, what do you want to highlight from this data?
Hmm. Thank you, Anya. Was there anyone else in the group that would like to add anything? Um, does anybody have experience with actually, being faced with a data set and then having to extract from that relevant information or information that will help you create the story that you are trying to transmit to your public? And also, I guess, Anya, you named your session. It just is in my mind. The question, data storytelling for influence. What does influence mean to you in that sense?
Yeah, we were talking about it in our group that I think especially for NGOs, you are working like with different audiences and you want to like push your agenda, for example, to the politicians, then to your members, to the wider society of your country, and of course these messages they are not the same. They are connected, but like the this highlight accent, it's different for each audience. So yeah, our target audience are members, then politicians, and then like wider society.
So, like the importance of this, like stakeholder mapping, right? A little bit and breaking down. We often talk about ecosystems, but actually, what is in that ecosystem, and how are those stakeholders connected, and where is the influence and the power maybe in the room as well, right? And how that all influences the stories we're telling or the messages we're trying to transmit. Thank you. Finally, in room three, it took us a little bit of time to find each other, but we created a small group there. The title of the room was No Data, No Worries, telling personal stories to begin with. And you already said, Beth, that was kind of the first point, no, of your your manual,
Tips.
so to
Yeah.
speak, or tips that are translated into all these different languages. So being personal. So we spoke a lot about being personal, and you had some good examples up your sleeve. But just maybe before you share one in the plenary, a personal question to you, because obviously you work in this area. Um, do you do you feel that you approach your work differently now, the way you speak or transmit your stories, being in this storytelling festival, being aware of the way that people use personal stories to transmit something? How has that like affected you? Do you tell your personal story in a much more overt way now, or has that
That,
influenced you yourself?
that's a really good question. I think these tips we came up with sort of 2020, 2021 during the pandemic, and they've remained valuable and they do remain something that I use as a kind of checklist. And I think especially they're really useful when if you think that something's not quite right, kind of you're halfway through your, drafting something or trying to work out how to present something and there's just something that's niggling, it's not quite right. If you go back to the tips, you can maybe find out that you started with quite a personal approach, but as you've gone on, you've kind of reverted back into kind of academic language, or you've kind of taken a step away from the personals, perhaps, or maybe you find that actually what you've got is too much text and you need to insert some illustrations of some kind. So I think they've been really helpful as a checklist to troubleshoot, as well as being a way of structuring your approach from the beginning. When I write editorial for Europeana, I do certainly try to use my own voice and my own, maybe not always my own like personal story, but my own voice and to show my interest in the topic and my passion for the topic, because I think that makes it more approachable and more accessible for the reader. So yeah, I think it has had an effect, and I know that other people find the tips really useful as well. So I hope that it will have a positive effect for people here as well.
Well, in our breakout room, we shared some personal stories linked to objects, linked to interpretation of different images. And I think one thing that comes across is that when that happens, you often tend to remember that for longer, or it stays in your mind, which is, I think, one of the key messages here as well. You wanted to share with us, I think, one example so we can do.
Yeah, why not?
Maybe you
I
need
will
to.
stop. I will stop sharing. Oh, but
Works. Can you see it?
We can see it.
Yeah. Okay. So the idea behind this session was an interactive writing prompts, really, or storytelling prompts. So here we can just, I'd like to invite everyone to write in the chat. So this is a sketch that I found on Europeana, and as you can see, it is not necessarily of one particular thing. So what is your personal connection to it? When you look at this picture, what do you see, or kind of what emotions do you feel? Please write in the chat, and maybe the people who are in the group has already thought about this. Maybe you could start us off by writing the things that you thought. And what's wonderful when you do exercises like this is that everybody sees such different things. And that's a really important thing to reflect on, because everybody has a different emotional connection to something, to a story, to an image, to a concept. So keeping that in mind as well is great. So we see a tiger and you feel powerful. That's brilliant. For Annetta, it reminds you of Picasso, and she sees a strong, confident woman. Alina sees a cat. And Aurelia sees two tigers snuggling. I love how people are seeing cats and tigers, and it gives you a feeling of warmth and a slow morning. That's nice, really nice. And it might be that you don't see any particular objects. Maybe it just brings up a feeling in you, and that's perfectly valid as well. And if I might share one more, which is a different kind of prompt. We have this example of a butterfly, which has quite a lot of data around it, as you can see, from when it's been categorized and set and shared and recategorized. What would you like to know about it? So when we want to tell a story about the project or about a piece of work, think about what are you intrigued about by it, or what might other people be intrigued about? What questions might they want answered? Please type in the chat. And as I mentioned in the group, I'm really intrigued by the handwritten thing at the top right, which says that you can't quite see, but it says it was collected in Glastonbury, which is where the Glastonbury Festival these days, but it's quite a spiritual site. So I'm interested in this idea of somebody catching butterflies there in August 1944, of all times, during the Second World War. So we've got where did this species of butterfly travel? Great. So questions about geography of this place. You've also got different people written here. You've got I think it says Crocker, and then you've got R.W. Watson. And then obviously you've got different layers of categorization and processing. So it's been digitized now. So who did that? Where can you find this butterfly? Yeah. I want to know how long they live. Brilliant. So these are the type of questions that I was asking to try and provoke a personal connection with an object or with a story. Mm-hmm. And if you like this kind of thing, you can join our writer's room every month, because this is the kind of thing we do. And I'm trying to stop sharing now. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Beth. And I think it's something that we can all apply in our work, because we often, I think, fail to tell the stories of all the people that we meet during our projects, during our field work, during the research we do. And I think that would make the communication a lot more interesting, to actually tell those stories of those roles, of those people, of those personas that we meet in our work. So I will pass back to you, Aurelia, but to wrap up and give the final words of this, I think, really nice workshop that we've just had. In the chat, I wanted to share again the link to our final conference. It would be great to meet some of you in person. The applications are open. There's financial support to cover your travel costs and accommodation. It's like a lump sum that the project provides to social economy organisations and social economy SMEs. So please do apply. The call's open for another month or so. And most importantly, on the screen now, please do fill in the evaluation survey. It means a lot to us. If you don't manage to do it now, you can also do it following the instructions in Aurelia's email that she's going to send to all of us. So back to you, Aurelia.
Thank you, Annetta. Thank you for all the speakers. It's very important that you joined us today and shared your knowledge. The topics were really interesting, and in the one way diverse, in another they were connected. And even though this Do Impact project is more about the digitalizing digital tools for social enterprises. Today we talked a lot about the human feelings, human trust, and that's the idea I wanted to bring for this our international community, that behind every social enterprise there are we humans. And for us, for this project, to make a bigger impact, to have your voices heard, we collect your feedback. So please give a couple of minutes of your personal time to share your feedback to this forum. Of course, I will also send you additional email with the whole information from today's workshop. So thank you very much. The last words from me, and thanks for participation. If anyone would like to keep in touch and get to know more, get to know familiar with our speakers, don't hesitate to contact me. And see you in the next Do Impact events. Please follow the project, Lithuanian Social Business Association, and other social enterprises for making a bigger impact. Thank you very much and have a great day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.